Good morning, friends. Welcome to a chilly and very, very windy November morning. I am out on a 4-day, 3-night camping trip on some private land in Iowa. Socks. Where are my socks? The shelter I'm in is a shelter made by POMOLY, and it was designed by Lone Wolf 902. He's a bushcraft YouTube channel, and it is a canvas poly material, so it offers some spark resistance, retains a little bit of warmth, but it's basically a tarp shelter. You know, I like to do my plow point tarp shelters, but this one has a couple of extra things. One, it's got a stove jack for the POMOLY stove here. This is the T-Brick Mini, if you're wondering. And it also has these little wings at the top where it kind of folds in and creates a little, like a enclosed shovel point. And that little area holds a lot of warmth. It blocks a lot of wind. And it's been nice. I've really enjoyed being able just to open my eyes and look out and beyond, you know, to the landscape instead of just looking at canvas or a nylon wall. So I've really been liking it. Now this setup is for maximum 20 degrees Fahrenheit. Anything colder than that, then I'm breaking out an actual hot tent, because you need to retain warmth. A lot of heat escapes out that way, obviously. But got some water on, gonna get some coffee rocking and rolling, and I'm sure the troops are gonna start rustling around here a little bit because we have a lot of food. And the whole point of this weekend is just to get out and away, enjoy some time outside, playing with your new toys and gadgets. And for me, once this weekend is over, I hit super double overdrive at work, and I won't be able to get out and play. So basically, we're in a cow pasture. The cows are no longer in this pasture, obviously, but it's a wide open area. There's downed trees and firewood everywhere. And then obviously a lot of cow patties too. Looks like the boys got the fire rolling already. The cool part about land like this is, and all the wood available, you could have just a giant fire. We had a giant fire last night. We're gonna have a giant fire tonight, which means a lot of wood as well.
My mother, not even my brother can know.
They're back and beyond.
Another thing I like about these like hot tent setups, these stoves, I mean, they're so useful in my opinion. You can obviously use them for warmth, and you know, the bigger the stove, the more heat they can put out. You can use them for boiling water. I mean, just as simple as that. And it also keeps your pot clean, keeps it out of the fire, out of the soot, right? But also a source of light, and cooking on these stoves is, I love it. I mean, everything's contained. It's all right here. And POMOLY, they're doing some really awesome things. There are some things I'd like to see tweaked on a lot of the POMOLY stoves, and more importantly, the POMOLY tents and tarps. There's some minor tweaks that could really make these really, really good. Now, I'm not sponsored by POMOLY. You know, they don't pay me. They don't even really know I exist. But POMOLY, if you're watching, give me a call. But I really like the fact that they do a line in canvas. This is the stuff you want for hot tents. The nylon stuff and the polyester stuff is good because it's light and it's easy. But I mean, that stuff will melt in a millisecond if an ember falls on it. And plus, the whole thing in general doesn't really retain heat. A lot of condensation ends up freezing on that material as well. Whereas canvas like this retains heat. This also absorbs moisture, you know, not to a point where it's saturated, but enough to where it can evaporate off of this. So canvas for this kind of thing, far superior in my opinion. So other companies, you know, if you're paying attention, start looking into some canvas stuff, because it's kind of where it's at. Where's my spoon? Now, one of the downsides to some of these stoves, especially these really compact models, this is a T-Brick Mini, meaning it's small. I have a review of the stove if you're interested in it, is firewood. Now, a standard piece of firewood, whether it's store-bought or you buy it from somewhere, is usually about this size. It's 16 inches is pretty standard. I mean, that's way too long for these short box stoves. So it requires additional work to make sure your firewood is cut shorter, you know, to fit in the box. So a lot more cuts, and you're feeding the fire a lot more because it doesn't have the volume as something big like this. So a stove like this, I mean, these really aren't designed to burn all night. You know, you're looking at like 2 hours, 2.5 max if you kind of damp everything down and restrict the oxygen flow. But these are meant to, you know, fire up fast, heat up fast, and cool down fast as well. So this is not an all-day heating solution, and it certainly isn't an all-night heating solution. So if you use something like this and you're in really cold temps, your sleep system should be rated to the temperatures you expect outside. If it's going to be 20 below zero outside, make sure your sleeping bag is 20 below zero, because if this stove goes out, you're going to be cold. So never count on these to provide warmth for you overnight in the winter. I think that, like the work that goes into chopping up firewood, bucking it up and getting it split, it's a manual chore. For some strange reason, I find a lot of fulfillment in, and I don't know why. But there is some technique and some, I want to say, artistry involved. Maybe that's a poor word, but it looks easy to chop and split wood. But if you don't know what you're doing, you could injure yourself quite a bit. But doing this stuff, knowing that this wood is going to keep me warm later, or I can use this wood for cooking, there's a simple and rugged enjoyment I get out of it. It's weird. And of course, it's always nice to have a lot of available wood, especially dry season wood. This pasture has a ton of down trees, been dead for years and years and years. I mean, there's cottonwood in here, there's some oak up on the hill, and it all just, it burns really, really well. And also, the landowner appreciates us getting rid of all this wood. It just creates more pasture land for his cows. So it's kind of a win-win. We've been just kind of hanging out at camp all day, eating, enjoying time and camaraderie by the fire, which is, you know, why I like some of these trips. the people I've met and get to spend time with on these adventures is priceless, in my opinion. So for those of you who choose to hang out with me, thank you, I appreciate you. Sun's going down. I'm hoping you can see it, it's right behind me.
Well, I was actually gonna. What are you gonna do? Like,
You ever eat a mountain house at home and you're like, ugh.
Horrible. I tried it.
On trail, you're like, this is pretty good. Go home.
There's a couple cow pies on there. Wow. Okay.
See that one. Oh, this is this plate.
I don't need to
That's
sit behind
cool.
this log. Get my chair set up on the other side of this log.
Good Lord.
I'm gonna have to because this is gonna get big.
These are the kind of fires that you have when you're out in the middle of nowhere and have permission to burn everything in the vicinity. Wow. That's what I'm talking about.
I'm hoping.
Good morning, friends. What a great night. It got down to 28 degrees. That was warm and comfortable, and whenever I did open my eyes, I was able to look out beyond and kind of see the sky starting to lighten up this morning. It was nice. Got down to 28 degrees, and I got the stove rolling early this morning just to help knock that chill off the air a little bit. Now with this shelter, obviously it's missing a whole side, so most of the heat is just being poured right out of the opening. So this isn't gonna be a hot shelter per se, but a warm shelter indeed. I could put a bigger stove in here if I really wanted to, and that would really help, but I think for this condition, this thing worked out really well. My sleep system, just in case you're wondering, my pillow is the Xped Mega Pillow. And then I have a 30-degree Nemo sleeping bag. And then over that, I just layered a 40-degree top quilt, so I just kind of stacked quilts and plenty warm. Under that is an Xped Dura insulated sleeping pad. It's actually got down in the sleeping mat. This is my extreme weather, cold weather sleeping pad. This thing is super comfortable, not loud at all, and warm. Then under that, just like a little padded Reflectix mat, and then a small survival blanket underneath that, just to protect, some of the moisture coming up. Got a little ground mat here. It's a wax canvas ground pad. Wax canvas on one side, wool on the top side, and this is a layer where you just put things on. You can kneel and use it as a work mat to keep you up out of the dirt. And then got a little UCO candle that I keep burning all night, and one candle, man, it burned like 10-12 hours, so I've used one candle for 2 nights, which is really nice. But it provides just a little bit of illumination at night, just so you can kind of see if you needed to, grab a headlamp, things like that, grab some firewood if you needed to. But a really nice little shelter. But yeah, 20 degrees max for a low in something like this, in my opinion. But I like it. I like it a lot. A couple of improvements I would like to see on this shelter are mainly the tie-outs on the perimeter of the tarp. There's just these metal buckles, which are fine, but there's no adjustments. I would like those buckles to be on some kind of webbing with a tensioner, so you can stake it down and then pull everything tight. Just kind of get everything nice and taut. That would be a huge improvement, not only on this tarp, but a lot of the POMOLY tents and tarps. I think if they added that, it would really step up the game here. This is all the firewood that we didn't get on the bonfire, and all the little shortcuts are for all the ones we didn't burn in our short box stoves. Now here's a little hint. Why are we piling it all here and then later going to cover it up with a tarp before we leave? Maybe we're coming back?
All right, we got some hash browns, Southern style hash browns with sausage and eggs in there. You got some good old bacon. And that's all you really need.
Monster.
Monster.
Brown bacon.
Some of the best things about actual camping, especially with a group of friends, is the food. Everyone brings something a little bit different, something you may not necessarily make on your own, but it's just damn good.
Bacon, bacon, bacon.
If only we had cinnamon rolls.
Steve.
That's the conclusion to another fantastic outdoor adventure. You know, I love spending time, any way I can outdoors, especially with some good friends, tinkering with new gear and good high quality gear as well. So if anything, get outside, find your own adventure. Even if it's a cow pasture in the middle of Iowa, find something to do outside. If you haven't already, consider subscribing to the channel, hit the like button, and share this video too if you think someone else would enjoy the things I do on this channel. But I do appreciate you stopping by, and we'll see you on the trail. We'll see you at the campsite. We'll see you in the woods. We'll see you outside.